All right, in this lesson, we'll talk about Booleans. A Boolean in Ruby is a data type that is one of two values, true or false. That is it. There are no other options. It's either true or false. Now, we're all familiar with numbers in our everyday lives. A string is basically text, so we've certainly run into text throughout our lives. But a Boolean really represents the first data type that many people who have not previously programmed before are new to. So why do we need Booleans? Well, let's consider a basic mathematical expression like 1 plus 1. If I output this result, I'm going to get 2, which is predictable. This is an evaluation that leads me to another number. But many times we're going to have things in programming, just like in everyday life, where the result that we're going to get back is not a new number or a new string. It's simply a statement of truth. Is something true or is it false? Is it valid or invalid? For example, if I were to ask you, is 5 less than 10? In real life, you would tell me, yes, that is true, yes, or no, that is false. That is valid or it is invalid. Well, a Boolean in a programming language like Ruby represents that concept. It's the concept of truthiness. Is something true or is it not true? So if I ask Ruby, is 5 less than 10, and that less than sign right here, just like in mathematics, is used to test that, what Ruby is going to do is evaluate this, and it's not going to give me back a new number, a new string object. It's going to give me back true. And what this actually is an object. It's a Boolean object. And like I mentioned, a Boolean object can only have one of two values, true or false. So this is not a string of true. This is a Boolean object that represents truth. If I have something similar, but in reverse, for example, if I ask Ruby, is 10 greater than 12? Just like in real life, if I were to ask you this question, you would say, no, 10 is not greater than 12, so that is false. Ruby is going to give me here a false. This is still a Boolean object. It's just a Boolean object that is false. And these two values right here, true or false, are everything that a Boolean can be. It cannot be anything else. So true or false, that's it. Either yes or no, on or off, valid or invalid. You can use whatever combination of terms you'd like. But basically, it simply is an evaluation for truthiness or the validity of a statement. Now, because these are objects, these Boolean objects, we can use them in other situations. We don't just have to get them from evaluations like these ones here. We can simply output something like true because it is an object. We can output something like false because it is another Boolean object. We can see them right here. Let me just wipe the slate clean here and show you that what we can do as well is assign Booleans to variables. Much like we can assign numbers to variables, I can do something like age equals 25. Well, a Boolean is just another object type in Ruby. So what I can do here is create a variable like handsome and set it equal to true. This right here, again, is not a string. It's a Boolean object that is equal to true. We'll see how we can use this in code later, but the key takeaway here is that it's simply another object type, much like a string or a float is. Similarly, I can create a variable like stupid and set it equal to false. So that is another Boolean value. Notice that I'm writing it in all lowercase and that there are no quotes around it. This is not a string. What I can do here is then do p handsome, p stupid. You can see that they're going to be output right here. They're simply going to return the Boolean values they're storing. What I can also do is call that familiar .class method. Remember that that is available on every Ruby object. So if I do handsome class and stupid.class to find out what class these variable values are coming from or what blueprint they're made of, you can see that they're coming from a true class and a false class, which are basically just two different classes or blueprints that represent these Boolean values. Now, it's a different class, but they're all together classified as a larger set of Booleans. So a Boolean, again, is just a data type that is one of two values, true or false. We'll see more examples of this as we proceed throughout the lessons in this section, but for now, this is a good introduction. What I recommend is simply playing around with a few more of these mathematical expressions that we introduced in the beginning of the lesson to kind of get a sense of how Ruby evaluates it. Remember, you're not looking for an evaluation that's going to give you something like a number or a string. You're looking for something that is simply asking for truth, asking for validity, asking to evaluate an expression and tell you whether it is something that is valid. If you can ask yourself a question like, would I say this is true or no, it's false? That's the kind of stuff that Ruby uses the Boolean data type to address. So I'll see you in the next lesson.